Hey, from the Pacific Northwest, we're going to put this HEI ignition system into the Eagle that has a 4.2 or the 258 AMC engine, the inline six. So this Eagle's in good shape. It's solid. It's a driver. When I install this HEI ignition system, I'm going to install it a way that whoever in the future wants to restore to the original ignition, they can. I won't be ripping any wires out. I'm just going to find my source, tidy up the wires that won't be necessary, remove a couple of items, of course.
The source in the electronic ignition control unit has power in run and crank.
So the plan is to use this connector here. It's yellow and green on the other end. This one's already broken. The tabs have been broken. This will go to the distributor, so I'm just gonna put this one together. Use this connector so I don't have to cut in to the harness there. So that'll stay original. And then I got a spare guy like this too, if ever we need to go back to the old distributor. But before diving into the ignition, now would be a good time to test the compression. I haven't done it. I've owned this Eagle for over 5 years now. There's a bit of blow-by, but for now I can't really rebuild the engine. So I've been putting off testing the compression. So the time has come to do the dreaded compression test. Been putting it off for like 5 years, but we'll take a look. We've got the butterfly open, the trigger hooked up to the positive battery terminal, and the solenoid. The increments between the 120 and the 150 PSI are like 5 pounds per increment.
The results are unbelievable. They're all over 140. The engine serial number matches, and the previous owner never mentioned anything about engine rebuild. It's amazing.
It runs great, especially since the new carburetor, because I've tried to rebuild the old Carter BBD and without real success. Some like missing parting or burnt, and the idle air mixture needles were bent. So the replacement to a reman Carter BBD really improved the drivability. And this is the Carter BBD that's actually working well. There was no issues installing it. Didn't need to adjust the choke or the air idle at all. It just works fine right out of the box. The choke works great too. It kicks off when it needs to.
All right, back to the ignition. When pulling the distributor out, the rotor turned counterclockwise about 1/8 of a turn because of the helical gear.
On a side note, when I got the Eagle for months, it would run as if it had like a rev limiter, and it would be choppy. It would die a bit, but just fractional, momentarily, till it died completely. And I think it actually burnt the spark plug wires. And all along, it was just inside the distributor cap. It was this ground here that was hanging on by a thread, till finally the wire gave up completely, and that was it. I think it has something to do if this isn't grounded. I think the system might run on 12 volts rather than like 6. It's something to do with the resistor wire. I think the engine's supposed to start at 12 volts, so the coil has more, but then when it's running, it goes down to 6. So the coil is basically producing half of the voltage to the spark. Anyway, well, it took me a while to find it because the rubber was still there, and then at the time the carburetor wasn't running right, the timing, the idle air mixtures, so there was many issues. So troubleshooting is tricky when there's more than one issue. So it took a little while to find this one, finally open up the distributor cap, and oh, look at this, you know. So this is it's an important wire, but that'll be it for this distributor for a while. Just to double check, I measured the size of the gears and the tabs. It's going to turn the oil pump, you know, just to compare, to make sure that it's the right sizes, that they match, and they do. This is good. Just here is going to be the dipstick for the engine oil is going to be in the way. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about this. It looks like a good match.
Just to add, the number 1 cylinder is checked at top dead center. Just the camera angle here that makes it look off a bit.
So now I just need to place a rotor to allow it to turn clockwise into position, because last time when we took it out, it went counterclockwise. So right about there. I did mark the number 1 and put some assembly lube on there, without forgetting the little gasket. Yeah, that dipstick is definitely in the way. So there it is. The rotor's lined up with the mark for the number 1. It's bottomed on the block. So we'll put more things on and see if it fires up. I almost forgot that my tach feed is not coming from the electronic ignition control unit, but it's coming from the original feed for the coil. So the battery power is coming off the red to the yellow, which is the feed, and then the tach is going to the tach inside the car. It's an aftermarket tach that I had hooked up to the coil. Next, we just need to add the spark plug wires, fire it up, adjust the timing, and then later I'll come back and clean up these wires. An important step not to miss is re-gapping the spark plugs from 0.035 to 0.045 of an inch. I'm just going to reuse the old ones for now. See how it goes. They're actually new. They didn't have a strong spark, so the combustion was questionable. So just a bit. There. Yeah, these spark plugs are still good. Just without the spark plug wires, there is access for to reach the spark plugs. With the wires on, we'll have to wait and see. Another thing to pay attention to is that the one electrode is not too far from the other one. I did double check the service manual for the firing order, 153624, 153624. Now we'll just put a little dab of silicone on the spark plug boot. Without touching the metal contactor. There you go, just a tiny bit. I don't know if it's right, but I chose to use the long ones on 1 and 4, the medium ones on 5 and 6, and the shorter ones on 2 and 3. And I put back the dipstick tube just temporary here, like offset, because the distributor's in the way of the bracket that holds the tube now. So I'll have to modify this bracket to hold down the tube.
just like a brand new car.